Mihailovic. Good ball up top. Here's Darren Yapi. He chips in and he scores! Darren Yapi! With that dramatic touch there. And he's about to give the Rapids a late win here in Frisco.
Come out and take the whole lot, but again, little ball played in behind, perfectly weighted. And you touched on the point about being strong. He gets his body there. He wants it more than anybody else. He shrugs people out of the way, a little touch. The keeper should come out and clear everything out. He doesn't. There were signs in the first half. I tell you what.
And welcome to Rapids Rant. It's your mid-September Rapids Rant edition. Rapids have been off for a couple weeks outside of training this past weekend. No matches since August 31st. Well-deserved rest after the August. The Rapids have, of course, qualifying for Champions Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup for next season. Rapids got a new player this week. We did have some injuries, but there's good news on that front. We'll look at Table Talk here on Rapids Rant. I am Don Pablo. Thank you for joining me today. We'll go over, we got a new player this weekend and what it takes to, get a player. And I like talking about business and sales and how that goes. We talked to Armis. Rapids Rant talked to Armis and Cole Bassett and new Rapids player Reggie Cannon yesterday. And it made me have some thoughts on life in general and working and jobs and such as. So we'll do that. But that replay from the August 31st match, Rapids down twice in the match, come back in the 93rd minute. And Darren Yapi gets the winner. And that's all he does is score winners in August. And what a way to end that month for the Rapids. And to have that good feeling going into the break. They took 7 days off. I think they didn't start until last Sunday. So that was awesome. There's some good news on the MLS front. We'll do some table talk. And, of course, the Portland Timbers matchup this weekend. We'll do a little preview and go over what has happened against the Rapids this season. Third meeting for that team. But we're talking about FC Dallas. Just go over that a little bit. Dallas scored in the 8th minute. And it looked like it was all, they dominated those first 10 minutes. But then Hoffa came in the 11th, tied it up. It went to halftime, level at 1. Then Dallas came back. And the Rapids they had a sub in the 64th minute. But I guess they weren't organized. And Dallas scored Pitar Musa in the 65th. So it looked like, Dallas was going to take it because, Rapids, they kind of had possession, the Dallas, FC Dallas Burn. But Rapids came back. Georgie earned a penalty. He actually missed it. But for the second time in the past couple matches, Rapids got a rebound off the penalty, put it in the back of the net. And that was actually Hoffa with his second goal in the match. The last time it happened, it was at home a couple matches ago. And that was when Cole Bassett got his rebound and put it past, I think, one of the Mexican teams the Rapids beat. So even if they missed the penalty now, good news. We get in there on the rebound, and Rapids can put one past the opposing team's goalie. And they've had a pretty good run with penalties in the past, since July 4th. So that's a positive. Then Yapi came in and actually scored with his knee on a ball that was dropped in by Georgie Mihailovic in the 93rd minute. And once again, Yapi super sub scores a winner for the Rapids. And yeah, that's the last memory of the team and giving good vibes for the Rapids right now. And out of all the professional teams playing in Denver at this moment, Rapids in 4th place. They have the best vibes. Colorado Rockies trying to avoid their 100th loss. with 2 weeks left in the Major League Baseball regular season. And, of course, the Denver Broncos trying out their rookie quarterback and going to Seattle losing. And rookie quarterback, I don't know. But I heard the very first call on one of the radio shows that happened right after Broncos win was a drunk guy, and he's like, I think we need to get rid of Nix. We need to get rid of the quarter. I'm like, one game. Man, it's a cutthroat business out there, sports, right? But that made me laugh. I was like, all right, well, at least I was entertained on the ride home from watching the Broncos because there was no Colorado Rapids last weekend. So yeah, like I said, good vibes for the Rapids. They got a new player, Reggie Cannon, defender, and basically replacement at this point anyway for Sam Vines, but he gives us the Rapids more depth on the defense, losing Bombito a couple weeks ago to France, and he actually got a red card his first appearance for them. It was a start as a second yellow. It was in the box, so he gave a penalty, got a red card. Bombito, rough start over there in Europe for him, but we'll see what happens, and I'm sure he'll be okay. There's that. All right, back to the Rapids. Reggie Cannon, and he's a veteran MLS player, 2017 when he first appeared in the league. Forgive me, this is Rapids Rant. We are your local Colorado Rapids Rapids show since 2013. And some people say, Don, why haven't you got better since 2013? And I think I have. I think if you listen to those old shows, first of all, the expletives, a lot less. All right. I did have a co-host. That was Gilberto, co-host emeritus. Gilberto, he's around. Congratulations to him, by the way. He's coaching a high school soccer team. The debut was a little rough. He had some players on vacation at the beginning of the school year. And I'm like, don't you know that you're playing soccer? Why would you go on vacation? But whatever. So he had a couple guys on vacation when he has his full complement of players. And earlier this week, he actually, I didn't even know they had a mercy rule, but also I haven't been in high school for a very long time. But they have a mercy rule in soccer, and his team actually mercy ruled the other team 10-0. Gilberto, he's an all-attack coach. He's just go forward, and it worked on Tuesday, 10-0. Got out of there early. Excuse me, it was Monday. Got home to watch, not Tuesday. Then I got home to watch the presidential debate, but won't talk about politics here on this show unless it's about sports, politics, stadiums, all that kind of stuff. And in Denver, there's going to be some stadium talk recently, including the the Colorado Rapids owner, because Kroenke doesn't have anything to do with the Rapids, but they're changing the parking lots outside of Ball Arena, and they're going to have a mixed-use development, making downtown more thicker. They're getting rid of those parking lots, and they're going to put houses, and they're going to have a new park in Denver, and allegedly some affordable housing units. But that's a bird of a different color. So, Kroenke putting money into the Ball Arena. That it's going to make the people that want the scoreboard fixed at Dick's Sporting Goods. It's probably going to make them not happy. But maybe I shouldn't even talk about that. So, whatever. I don't care. If the results on the field the past couple of years, all you did was complain about the scoreboard. Now, I don't even care about the scoreboard. I just want the Rapids to win. So, it could be broken. Don't even use it. But anyway, there's a bird of a different color. So we get Reggie Cannon, the Rapids, on loan. Actually, I think he was a free agent. He was playing for QPR in London, and he was released. I don't know when his last game was, probably at the end of last season. So he a couple of weeks off. 2 months off, getting healthy. That's what the Rapids need right now, is some health, some players that can line up immediately. And with Sam Vines being out, they said for a couple weeks at least. I think he started almost every game this season. Scored his first against Salt Lake a couple weeks ago to win the Rocky Mountain Cup. He's had some assists that were awesome assists since then. And he picked up a knock, so it's rough, but got to deal with injuries. And Sam Vines being out for a couple weeks. Hopefully we can get him back in the lineup. I think the Rapids have a 3 games in 8 days situation right now. Portland at home, at Kansas City in the middle of this week, and then Toronto on Saturday, the 21st. So Rapids a couple home games, sandwiched with the KC Road in the middle. And that's one of the KC Road midweek Rapids did last year also. And that was one of the matches that they actually won on the season. So Kansas City getting ready for that U.S. Open Cup final. Maybe the Rapids can go and get another one on the road in the quote-unquote blue hell that is Children's Mercy Park, formerly known as Livestrong Park in Kansas City. And, you know, put the Kansas City Wiz fans / Chiefs fans, put them back a little bit because I'm sick of them. We won't go over all that. Regular listeners know my feelings and disdain for Kansas City. Anyway, and by the way, they got 2 U.S. men's national team for, I think it's Nations League, and they didn't even sell out the stadium. So let's get another U.S. Men's team game here in Colorado. All right, Kansas City got 2 in a row. Couldn't even sell out the stadium. I'll stop complaining now. But I'm just glad the Rapids will be back, and it looks like we'll have a full complement of players, hopefully by the end of the year. Daniel Chacon off the injury report. He started for Rapids 2 last week. So there's another defender we can, maybe lean on by the end of the season. He coming off an ACL tear, and he didn't play until September. So, maybe he's healthy. We saw him, exercising this past week at training. And, now we're getting, only 2 people on the injury report, Sam Vines and Kevin Cabral, obviously. So Rapid, very lucky this season. And I know people don't like it because we're going to jinx them, but, we got to talk about the news on the team. And the other person on the injury report, Kevin Cabral, made an appearance at training yesterday on Thursday, the 12th. And he was kind of holding the elbow up a little bit, but I saw him jogging with Sam Vines. So he's back out on the field. I will say this. When I was in the military, if your leg was hurt, you could sit down and do curls. You can do like a half a push-up. You can do whatever your body lets you do. So to keep Kevin Cabral, and he's out there jogging and, keeping the at least the legs fitness up in the core, that's positive. And we were talking yesterday to some of the media guys, and I'm like, well, I understand that your arm is like balance and you need it for your body, but do we really need, maybe you can make a little earlier appearance, although elbows and flexing your arm and stuff, that I'm sure that's not good at this point, but maybe, it's not a leg injury. And I hope to see Kevin. They said 6 to 8 weeks. I'm sure it's not going to be maybe until October, maybe the Austin game at the earliest. That's the decision day, MLS, mid-October. So hopefully the Rapids, they don't even have to worry about that game. We'll see. They were talking yesterday. Armis was talking about a home playoff game and how he wants to get one. And I know I talk about that every day of the season, but I agree with him. So we'll see what Reggie Cannon, and he was talking about, Reggie Cannon did an interview, and he's like, he's played in Colorado a bunch of times. He knows some of the guys, Sam Vines, particularly, even though he's kind of replacing him right now. But he knows some of the players, the homegrown guys, Cole Bassett, that that have been in Colorado for a long time. He was in Dallas, and he actually got coached by Pareja for a little bit there. So he has some links to some soccer guys that came through Colorado. And if Pareja thought he was a good idea to bring up in the youth in FC Dallas, then I'm down for it. Of course, Pareja's still in Orlando. They're over there fighting in the Eastern Conference for a playoff spot. And in the Eastern Conference, every team still eligible for the playoffs. Not so in the Western Conference. We'll get to that in a minute. So Reggie familiar, obviously, with the MLS, playing in Dallas a bunch of years. Then he went to Portugal. And I was like, off the top of my head, I'm like, good. He can communicate with Rafa already. So, that barrier's gone. They can talk to each other, maybe get some Sam Vines assist over the top and get to Rafa and, just make it easier on them. So that's a positive too. So I was excited about that because, and I'm just I'm going to relate it to FIFA. I'm going to relate it to FIFA right now. EAFC as it's now called, which comes out 25th of September. I'm excited for that. But when you play like Ultimate Team, and it shows you like chemistry. And obviously, if you're on the same team, your chemistry is improved a lot. But if you're in the same league, it's also improved a lot. And chemistry matters when you're playing that game, and it's just another factor to win on EFC, formerly known as FIFA. And so I was like, well, this is going to be good for chemistry because, I'm sure Rafa can, speak a little better English now that he's been here for most of the season. But if you have another guy that's fluent, as in Reggie, that's just going to help other people to break down those barriers and help the chemistry out. And that's a positive thing because a guy coming in, with 2 months left in the season, sometimes it's hard to get on the same page. But if you don't have that, if you don't have the language barrier, then that's awesome. So I was excited about that. And Coach Armas, real quick, they were asking him about Reggie, and he was talking about how he had to kind of had to sell him on the team. Although I feel like it's a lot easier if you know that you're going to play CONCACAF Champions Cup next year, and I think it was a 3-year deal that he signed. So that's a positive. That's a thing that you can tell other players, like, hey, we're going to play these extra games. And it's we don't know who they're going to. Could be a Mexican team. We own Mexico. The Rapids own Mexico right now. It could be. I think we got a Guatemalan team last time the Rapids were in it, 2022, right? And that's when we broke down in penalties. That was a cold match against that. I think it was a Guatemalan team, but we beat the big boys now, the Rapids. So. I think there's going to be higher expectations in CONCACAF Champions Cup. But anyway, so he was talking about, selling Reggie Cannon on coming to the Rapids. And I don't know if, you have to sell these players because of the way the MLS transactions work. And it used to be like you just put your name in a hat and then whoever was next, that's who gets you. Obviously, it's not like that anymore. And the MLS transactions are different now. Some of that's mystery. I'd say most of it's mystery, actually. Who knows? Anyway, so it might be easier for the players and fans because you have a target, and maybe this guy, he's not going to be good on, I don't know, LA Galaxy, but it's their turn, or San Jose because they're in last place because it's their turn. But he has the traits and the attributes that the Rapids will be more successful with. So is it more, do the players have more, hand? Do the players have more say in where they're going? And I just thought about it. And one thing I realized from working in radio and working with talent is, the guys the super famous guys, probably, I don't know, Troy Aikman or, Joe Buck, and they still have to do this, or Colin Kaepernick, they still have to do this, but it's not as vital to their job and their network. Although maybe it is because money's money. So, but every talent you still have to sell, right? And for radio stations and TV, you got your advertising guys and you got your production guys. And when you're a production guy, you don't necessarily have to sell. You just have to be on the ball and making sure everything sounds good and or looks good on a television station. And then you got your sales guys that are connected with the community even more. And because giving money from a business to make more money is a very, very tough decision. Marketing and all that. And also, I would say the Rapids are doing a very good job because their attendance has been very good this season, especially off the back of last season. So maybe one of the midweek leagues cup games was, rough on attendance, but that's a 3-day notice. And anyway, so what I'm saying is the talent guy. When I saw the talent guy, like you still have to sell, you still have to get the business owners to write that check, and that's it's kind of the same with talent evaluators / coaches who have to convince a player to come be in their system. And sure, you could, who's Messi's going to start. He gets, he knows he's starting. Luis Suarez knows he's starting. Tim Howard / Hafez knows he's starting. No, they're starting. Georgie knows he's starting. But and Reggie, maybe he's not on the level of those guys, although he is a U.S. national player. And ever since Armis came here this year, our profile, the Rapids profile is bigger. There's more exposure. We got on national TV in Mexico and the United States. So these players are getting more exposure and getting more in the conversation for national teams. So that's a positive, but that's just a selling point. And I'll say, Armin, that's a big one. That's a big one. And I'm glad we have that. Maybe we didn't have that as much as Frazier was here. Although you think that he would be a connected guy, for being one of the top 11 MLS players. I think it was they voted on that 15th anniversary next year. Obviously, MLS going into the 30th. But the sales and the interconnectedness and the profile of the Colorado Rapids has increased so much. So it's a thing. It's like, yeah, you can be a salesman and you got to work with the talent. You could be a talent, but you still got to work with a salesman. You can't just be a talent. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be talent, you got to do everything. And most of the talent I know, they can still edit. They still had to edit, their voice or their camera, because when you start in the small markets, you got to do everything as a talent. You got to get the video, edit it, go back, put the, you don't have to do graphics maybe, but if you're a radio, you have to do everything. So it's like you got to do everything, and I think that Armis convincing these players to come here, it makes me excited because he has the trait of selling to get the players here and to get successful players, and he knows his system. And if you've been watching, you know that he's good at tactics, because the Rapids have come back and at least got a draw or many wins this season. And Leagues Cup obviously going to 3 penalty shootouts. So I was excited. I'm excited that he has that extra trait of also being a salesman, which you have to be if you want to get in those big meetings like that. Because but also when you're a salesman and you get those perks, salesman perks, because salesmen other than talent make the most money. Good for them. And when you go, you get, because who doesn't want to hang out with talent, right? They get to go to the meetings. They get to go to the big dinners, the big dinners at the nice steak restaurants. So there's that. But then I was also thinking, like, when how much hand do these players have? And even if he's, not the star player, Reggie Cannon, he still gets some say on where he wants to go. And that's a good thing because, MLS now has the union. Obviously, it takes a while to be a free agent, but they can still earn their free agent opportunities. And I was excited, and it made me think because I've been, I watch all sports, and if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch, that is Mountain Time Sports Report, Mountain Time Sports Report on Twitch and YouTube. You can watch us live. Subscribe, get the notifications, watch us live. Maybe you get your news a little bit faster than if you do the podcast when I do them, when Berto puts them up. Thank you, Berto. Very busy guy. Anyway. And I was thinking about college football because the transfer rules are, you can transfer really as much as you want. You take a red shirt, you can leave after your red shirt year. So really you can play 5 years with your red shirt. You can change teams every year. And so it's even harder in college football because you're not tied to anything. There's no contracts. It's you sign your letter of intent. Yeah, you'll be there for a year, but you can put yourself in the portal at any time. And to relate this to locally, Colorado, it was like 30-some players come through the portal, the transfer portal they had this year, which is the way you have to declare yourself in the transfer portal to say you're basically a college football free agent. So, college football players, they have the most influence out of any professional athlete, if you want to call them that, at this time, and they're getting paid now. So I would say they're professional athletes, which is interesting because every other sport, you sign a contract, you're there for 2 years, and who has the most influence out of any other sport in the United States is probably NBA basketball, but they're still tied to contracts. A lot of the star players there can force coaches out, whether it's good or bad. And they get paid the most, and the next TV deal is going to be crazy. And by the way, MLS should put a team in Las Vegas because they're going to have all 4 major sports in the United States pretty soon, and just give them an MLS team. And it's only, an hour plane ride from LA, Southern California, and I think 90 minutes from Northern California. So why not? That'll be closer, and it'll give, the Rapids another regional team to compete against. Anyway, that's expansion. We'll talk about that later. So it's interesting. It's just interesting to me to watch the college football and how they're going to, because when the inmates from the asylum, like the college football players are doing right now, the owners / security / bosses, they tend to get some of it back. So, if you're a Rapids Rant listener / Mountain Time Sports Report follower, I'm just going to be going with that because I like to talk about these long-term stories like that. So back to the original part was Reggie Cannon with the Rapids. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does, what he brings to the team the last couple months of the season. I was talking about Armis. They finally started talking about home playoff games yesterday. And I was looking, the Rapids, of course, have 7 games left, 4 at home, 3 on the road. Excuse me. Home games include Portland, Toronto, Galaxy, which is a midweek game on October 2nd, and then Seattle right after that. Obviously, this weekend will be the 3rd time the Rapids taking on Portland Timbers. Opening game of the season, 4-1 loss in Portland, and then first game of Leagues Cup, 4-0 loss for the Colorado Rapids before they went on that awesome run to finish out Leagues Cup, playing on the last day of the tournament. And Cole Bassett was talking about, the transition game and how they struggle against teams that usually do that, Galaxy, LAFC, and of course, Portland. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch this weekend. I don't know if Bassett will get another front winger like he started against Philadelphia when it was him and Calvin Harris on the top. Calvin Harris, the only goal scorer for the Rapids against Portland this year. When they won that second half, they won the second half in Portland, the first game of the season. And then, man, that Leagues Cup, that was a rough one. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out this weekend. Who's new? If Cannon gets the start because Vines is out, maybe Jackson Travis, who played last weekend, the last game against FC Dallas. So Vines has already had a couple weeks, but he said he's going to need a couple more. We'll see who goes to play left back for the Colorado Rapids. I'm excited. So as I said, the injury report for Colorado is just Kevin Cabral, Sam Vines, and only one player on the injury report for Portland, Claudio Bravo, lower leg. I think he's played for a while, so he's definitely out for the Leagues Cup opener. So we'll look at that. But as I was starting to say about playoff positions and everything, and I know they're looking at it now because Rapids, the boss was talking about it, Armis was talking about it, and we'll just go over that real quick. Starting with the Western Conference. Right now, LA Galaxy 4 points ahead for first place. And, Rapids are coming up in a couple weeks on a Wednesday. So I hope we get some Rapids fans out there to watch the first place LA Galaxy. 4 points up on LAFC. They're only one over Salt Lake. Salt Lake's 3 points up over the Rapids. Rapids 44, Salt Lake 47. The good news is Seattle 1 point back of the Rapids, but they played one more game. So really, that's a good news. That's a great news. We're 1 point up over fifth place, 2 over Vancouver in sixth place. Vancouver 42 points, but they've only played 26, so one less than the Rapids. So they have a game in hand. If they win that game, they will knock the Rapids out of the home playoff spot, the last home playoff game spot in the Western Conference. Although it's really a home field advantage because unless you're in the play-in game, that's the first round. The first round of the playoff after the play-in game, it's a 3-game series. So home teams will get 2 of those out of the 3, and the third one will be if necessary, of course. Anyway. So Vancouver, and they're playing Salt Lake this week. They host Salt Lake at home. So that'll be a big game. It starts 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, but Rapids start at 7:30. So maybe I'll have that on my Apple MLS watch on my phone because I get into those. Usually after the game when we're waiting for the press conferences, we're watching that game intently, and I'm sure Vancouver Salt Lake will be one to watch, one of the late night. And El Tráfico's at the same time, 8:30, LA Galaxy and LAFC's third match on the season. I don't know what the trophy is called, but I think it's up for grabs still. So there's that. Houston in 7th place outside of the play-in game, but they got 41. They're only 1 point above Portland in 8th. Portland right now hosting the play-in game, but only 4 points behind the Rapids. So really close. Anything can happen. And here's where it kind of gets some separation. Minnesota, 36 points in 27 matches. And the Rapids play Portland again. They play Minnesota again. And they play Seattle again. So 3 teams that are really close under us. And then a couple other ones, Austin and Kansas City, they're outside looking in right now, but they're not out of it. So 10th place, Dallas, 34 points. 11th place, Austin, 34 points. Dallas, 28 games played, so they got some work to do. Kansas City, 28 points. They're 8 points out of a playoff spot, but they're in the U.S. Open Cup final, so maybe that'll be a successful year, but I hope the Rapids can go in midweek and win there this week. St. Louis, 28 points. They're having a rough season, firing their coach, winless on the road. And then San Jose, 17 points. Their 2 road victories, of course, over the Rapids and their comeback. And in Salt Lake a couple of weeks ago, San Jose, bipolar team at most, maybe bipolar 2. I don't know. Anyway, so there's your table talk for the Western Conference. Really, every team's in it except for San Jose. But if San Jose can play the spoiler for the Rapids, I haven't looked at their schedule yet, but we'll get there. Miami, the only team to make the playoffs right now. They've clinched a playoff spot. 59 points, 27 matches. They are in Supporter Shield. They're pretty much, they can maybe wrap it up by the start of October, depending on how it goes. 7 points up on the Galaxy and 8 on Cincinnati FC. So Miami getting close to your Supporter Shield in the finals of Open Cup last year. Didn't make the playoffs though, which was crazy, but they're gonna be hosting some matches down at Chase Field. They have one this weekend against Philadelphia, who is in 11th place right now, and they need to have a big game. Getting to the third place game in Leagues Cup might be the pinnacle of their season. As I said, Cincinnati in second place, 51 points. Columbus 2 back, 49. I watched the 6 minutes Wilfried press conference from last week. Not a happy camper, that guy. I'm sure, maybe he'll get some looks from other leagues or other places to be a coach. But ownership over there, they're also Cleveland Browns ownership. So if you want to think about it that way, Columbus, maybe their guys just say, do your thing your way. Because that guy has them absolutely medals in the Cleveland Browns. But that's a story for a different podcast, maybe Mountain Time Sports Report on Twitch and YouTube. You can follow us live, subscribe, and all that stuff. But as of right now, Columbus, most successful team in the league, champions. And I don't care how good Miami's doing. Columbus is the team to beat for the rest of the season. New York Red Bull in 4th place. They're 6 points back from Columbus. So, they're in the playoffs right now, and we'll see. And if the season ended today, they would still be playing New York City FC. So that would be a fun playoff matchup that I would look forward to. 5th place, New York City. But everybody's close right now. 5th place, 39 points. 6th place, Charlotte, 38. Orlando, 37 in 7th. Orlando actually has a better road record than home record. Over 500 away, 6-5-3. Under 500 at home, 4-5-4. So if Orlando can win their last home matchups, maybe they get back in a top 4 playoff seed. In the playoff game in the East right now, Toronto and DC, 33 and 32 points respectively. But outside, there's only from 10 to 15, 31-30, 27-27, 26-26. Nashville and Chicago tied for last place, but they're only 6 points out. So nobody's out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference right now. It's going to be a fun last 6 weeks of the season if you're an Eastern Conference fan. New England crawled out of the basement again. They are 5 points out of the playoffs. DC is the last one in, but Atlanta, Philadelphia, New England, Montreal, Chicago, and Nashville all close there. Toronto, who the Rapids will play next weekend, 4 wins, 8 losses, 3 draws on the road. So hopefully the Rapids can get 3 out of that. And there you go. So if you're just an overall MLS fan, it's going to be fun watching the Eastern Conference play out the rest of the season. But other than that, I think the Rapids, I want to see new guy, Reggie Cannon, come in. And I thought I had another topic to talk about, but whatever. We'll call it a day. I'll remember what I wanted to talk about in half an hour when I'm doing chores here. But It's going to be on. Rapids home game. The weather is supposed to be nice. They have 3 more matches before the start of summer on the 22nd of September. So hopefully we have good weather for those. And no snow until the playoffs, which would start, I think it's the 21st of October. If the Rapids are in the playoffs, which I'm pretty sure they will be. Yeah, definitely. So that's going to be it, Rapids fans. Thank you for joining me on Twitch and YouTube. Follow us, get the notifications when we're live. And thanks to the listeners that hear the podcasts on the download. Put those together. That takes me a little bit to do. And I am Don Pablo. I want to thank the Rapids listeners for listening. If you've listened this far, God bless you. Go Rapids, beat Portland. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll talk to you guys next time.